Welcome to IT Study Bar. So now I am sharing my screen. Yes. Okay. In last video we discussed what is that? We discussed we were remove board and BC flow. So this is the last video, guys. One time I am revising for you. Those are the people joining newly this meeting. So please focus, okay? If you have doubt, use my mail ID. All of you having mail ID. If you miss the last session, go on my YouTube channel. I take study bar. There you will get the video. Okay. So now here, observe Spring Boot flow. And this is the very important. This is the very heart of the Spring, heart of the Spring MVC, heart of the every interviewer asks question about the Spring MVC flow. If you tell the flow of the Spring MVC, then remaining question interviewer won't ask. This much explanation you give to the interview, front of interviewer, then interviewer will not ask any other question about the Spring MVC. This is the my guarantee. Okay, I will give a guarantee to you. After this much explanation, the viewer will not ask any question about related to Spring MVC. But Spring MVC, I will. So now I am revising one more time. Then I will go further. Okay, Spring Boot MVC. Spring Boot MVC designed around the dispatcher servlet, which we predefined front controller. This called also front controller. This is the predefined providing the Spring Boot. Okay, Spring MVC also. Okay. All activities is the Spring Boot MVC takes place under the control or monitoring of the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet is the all controlling points there in hand, which hand dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet take the request and forward the request. Come back and take the response also and forward to response to the browser. All the activities do by the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet just like a security person in your building, guys. Yeah, okay, entry point. Entry point, you can say. So now dispatcher Spring Boot MVC flow. Now here they observe this. Dispatcher servlet take support handler mapping. Dispatcher servlet take the support of the handler mapping to map the component. Okay, to map the component. Okay. Link the given request with the handler method. Handler method. This handler mapping link the request to the handler method. The handler method I will show you in if you are continuing my if you are watching my Spring MVC videos, Spring MVC video, there I discussed all these points. Okay. Here is the I think the sixth session. There that's why we are in the middle like a starting point of the course. Okay. So now here class. So now dispatcher servlet gives DS means dispatcher servlet give the request path and the request mode. Request path and request mode. This type of request mode come from the line or come from the client like that. Okay. So now path also path handler mapping component and get the request mapping information object. Request mapping on handler mapping component and gets the request object having the controller class and bean ID and the handle method signature. This thing, this object like request mapping information object having those things like controller class bean IDs, and handler method signature, and gives to dispatcher servlet. Here I wrote it. Here I explain all these points again. Okay. So here I noted all this point request mapping information. Dispatcher servlet take the support of view resolver component, guys. Dispatcher servlet take the support of view resolver component to map given result to map given request related result on a view component and gets view object having the physical view component and the location. Okay, you can use any technology related to view component like Thymeleaf also, tree marker, velocity and GST, etc. Whatever you want, but which technology just use it as a view component. Here I'm saying that. So now here, one more time, I'm revising. This is the flow, right? This is the diagram. This is the dispatcher servlet. This is the handler mapping. Okay. This is the controller classes. Controller classes having like if you delegate the request to the service, then use the service and DO business logic, view resolver, and this one is the physical view component. So now here, first and two, these two points, when you deploy the application inside the server related to these 2 points. Okay. When you deploy the server, deploy the Spring Boot application inside the server, these many components will create it. Okay. So now here, observe. Programmer deploy the Spring Boot MVC application web server or web servlet. Okay. Application server. Okay. Web server and application server difference are there. Some short video I will upload on this channel, so you will get it. After the deployment, IOC container create the dispatcher registration with the servlet container. Okay. Registration with the servlet container. In last session, in same series, last session, I have told you all this point related to registration, dynamic registration in the Spring Boot having the dynamic registration. How to registration? By using dynamic approach. Right? Okay. Here, then pre-instantiation of the singleton scope, Spring being like controller classes, handler mapping, view resolver, service classes, view, etc. This process is necessary depending on the level. Sorry, also text this guys. Okay. So now this is the way you deploy the application inside the server. Any server, it's your choice. You can use it. Better to use application server. Why? Because application servers give the more feature to you. Okay. So now here, coming to the first three. Now this is the first and second point. Third. Start with the third point. Start. Then here, observe this. Browser give the request to the deployed Spring Boot MVC. Then browser gives the request to their deployed web application. If you deployed one web application inside your server, then browser client will come inside the browser, open a browser, type the URL, then give the request to the your application. Then here, next application inside the application, what happens? The dispatcher servlet traps the request and applies the common system services on the request like login, tracking, and security and auditing. Okay, then dispatcher servlet perform some operation like common system services logic apply. Then send where, then trap the then after that fifth point is here. Dispatcher servlet hand over the request to two is required na two and hand over the two to hand over to handler mapping component and dispatcher servlet here in the fifth step. Dispatcher servlet hand over the request to where handler mapping component. That handler mapping component then handler mapping incoming request with a handler method of handler classes or controller classes and gets the request mapping information. Where we get the request mapping information from like handler mapping components. Okay, object. From the handler mapping component having controller class, BeanID, and handler method. I already told you guys in this point, these same points are there. Okay? Now, sixth point, then send back to the dispatcher servlet, take the controller class BeanID. Then dispatcher servlet, this point, okay, this dispatcher servlet, take the bean ID, take the bean ID from the received request mapping information, where request mapping information, which bean ID takes from the request mapping object, then that and gets the controller class object from the dispatches. Create the IOC container. Dispatcher servlet also prepare the necessary object based the signature of handler method collected from the request mapping info. Okay. Now, see one point, the dispatcher servlet called the handler method called the handler mapping having necessary object as the argument on the above received controller class object. Yes, the one step says this one. Okay. Now, here this handler method of a controller either directly process the request inside the handler method, inside the handler of controller class having the handler method now, then it's take the responsibility to execute for which logic is having, otherwise it delegates the request service or DO. Okay. This point. And the ninth is the handler method of a controller class return the logic view name. The handler method of the controller class return the logical view name again also to the dispatcher alert where this class is return the logical view name to dispatcher servlet. And next is happen in dispatcher servlet give the logical view name to the view resolver component. Here we have a view resolver component, and then dispatcher servlet gives the view resolver to the logical view name to the view resolver component. Then view resolver maps the link logical view name to physical view component, which physical view component existed exactly match as the logical view name, then object and send the control to physical view component. Then view resolver send to the dispatcher servlet and dispatcher servlet sends to the air. Okay. This is the object sent to the controller which view name. The RT dot forward function. This one happens in the internally, not required to do all the things. Format result. Okay. Gather from the request scope in the indentation log. These format results goes back to the dispatcher servlet. Okay. Okay. Dispatcher servlet send the formatted result back to the browser. So this is the total flow. This is the total very good flow I have given to you. Please observe this and please those who want to share this video with your friends. Right? Okay. So now let's see. So now today's topic is save it. Okay. Now today's is session Share1 is there. So now some related to about handler and the view resolver component I am giving today's about this. Okay. And also I will tell you how to install, how to work, sorry, how to work with Spring Boot application with your Eclipse ID. Okay, why? Because I will not use STS a separate ID. Okay, I will use only one ID like Eclipse ID. Why? Because I'm in office work and the last 5 to 6 years I'm continuously using Eclipse ID. I'm not switching any ID. That's why I will use Eclipse ID. I will install the plugin inside the Eclipse ID. How I will tell you all the process. And also I will put the screenshot on the okay. So now today's agenda is guys. So first we learn HandlerMapping. Handler mapping components, right? Handler mapping. Okay. Stream is good. Handler. So the point is that guys, what is this component? Also this component, this this component takes the incoming incoming request through dispatcher servlet and that map that request with map that request with the appropriate handler. Yeah. Handler method. Appropriate handler method of appropriate handler method of appropriate handler method of appropriate handler method of appropriate. You don't know appropriate, yeah, really. The spelling is correct or not? Appropriate, yeah. Appropriate means exact. Huh? You can say exact, appropriate. Suitable, yeah, suitable. You can say suitable. Appropriate of the appropriate controller. Appropriate controller class. By matching incoming URI path, by matching incoming URI path with URI path with handler method request path, using reflection API and request mapping info object. Okay, back to dispatcher servlet, having the mapped class B ID and handler method signature. Handler method signature. That's it. So now this is the point, guys. This is the point about the handler mapping. Same thing in the when I already told you guys, handler mapping is takes the request from the dispatcher servlet. Then it finds the appropriate handler class and handler method. So appropriate handler class also controller class and appropriate handler method. Then matching the URI, the handler method and coming from the dispatcher servlet. Okay. Then back to dispatcher servlet having mapped class BeanID and handler method. Okay. So now here, next point is all handler mapping component. All handler mapping components are the classes or the classes implementing org dot implementing what is that org dot spring framework dot web dot servlet dot handler mapping interface, handler mapping interface. Okay, this one is interface. This one is so now all handler mapping components are the classes or the classes. All handler mapping components. How many handler method components? I will give the sum. Okay, I will give some component. Okay. So now generally we use ready-made. Ready-made means predefined. Ready-made handler mapping. Handler mapping classes. In Spring MVC, I have I told you all the forms. I told you all the forms, all the handler mapping class, handler mapping classes, all the handler mapping classes. Here I will not give the all the points. Just generally use them. Okay. Frequently we use these methods. That method I will teach you. That class, sorry, not that class. Number first is what is the bean name? Very frequently usable is bean name URL handler mapping. Bean name URL handler mapping. Okay. So now second one is what is that? Second one is controller controller class name handler mapping. Controller class handler mapping. Now, third one is simple URL handler mapping. Simple URL handler mapping. This is also very usable, but right now no one is use this one. EPC. Many know that. Okay. So now this thing for more is certain in my mind. What is that? Fourth is one more is that. What is that? Request mapping, handler mapping. Okay. Request mapping, handler mapping. Okay. Request mapping, handler mapping. Request mapping, handler mapping. Okay. So now this one is the default. This one is default in annotation. Default in annotation driven configuration. Annotation and configuration. Okay. And also as well as in the Spring Boot. Okay. So now the more thing is there. This one. Bean name URL. This is the default. This is the default in XML. Default in XML driven configuration. Okay. This one. These two are default. These two are default. Okay. This one and so now these four are just for the knowledge purpose I'm giving to you guys. Okay. In the Spring Boot, these are the not required doing the automatically. Okay. All the configuration in the I have already discussed these points, so not required. So next is view resolver component. Important component pertaining to this. Okay. So now next is view resolver component, guys. View resolver. View resolver. So now view resolver is there. View resolver is there. The component view resolver. The component now here view what is this component this component this component maps the received the received which one received logical the received logical view name with physical view component view object having the view object having the name and location having the name and location of physical having the name and location of the physical view component. So these components map the received logical view name means LVN with the physical view component view object having the name and location of the view object, which we have view object, we have view object having which one? Logical location and physical view component. Okay. And back to dispatcher servlet. It can collect inputs, from XML file, can collect inputs from XML file or XML file or sorry, XML file or XML driven configuration. Configuration or from properties file. Okay, I will give you two approach by using property file or otherwise one project I will develop without using properties. Okay, which components is automatically recognized. I will show you in the practical sessions. Don't worry. Now next is after that from properties file in Spring Boot application in Spring Boot application. Okay. Now next point is view resolver. Now view resolver properties file. Yes, properties file. View resolver components are the classes implementing org.spring framework dot spring. Here is the Spring framework. I'm writing shortcut. Yes, yeah. Spring framework web dot view resolver. This is the page. This is the view resolver component, the classes which were existing inside this. Okay. View resolvers generally, yes, generally we use sorry, ready-made, yeah, predefined view resolver component is. So now what is the view resolver predefined view resolver component? In the Spring MVC session, I give lots of here I will also giving 2 to 5. Okay. First is URL based view resolver. URL based view resolver, guys. Okay. Number 2, internal resource view resolver. This one is the default in Spring Boot MVC. Now third one is resource handle view. Okay. Now fourth one is time view resolver. Tiles. The view while working with the tiles concept. This is the tiles. And also the fifth one is name view resolver. BeanNameUrlHandlerMapping. Okay, etc. Yes. Okay. Got it. These variables always are there. Okay. But here one default is there. Here one default is there. What is the request mapping, handler mapping? Okay. Handler mapping component. But here is no view resolver are default. Okay. So now here giving some point about this. So now what is the important? The internal about the internal. I'm giving some point about the internal resource view client. However, this is the important internal resource view resolver. Okay, is capable of taking the JSP or HTML or servlet component placed in private area as the view component view component through HTML JSP component component. So now here by using this view resolver, we can place these components like JSP, HTML, and servlet component inside the private area. Private area in the web application, one is the public area and one is the private area are there. Okay. So now here you can observe this. Here, see, here I am drawing something. Okay. So now inside the web hyphen inf web hyphen inf folder. Okay. Dot JSP like dot HTML, anything. This one is guys. This one is private area in our web application. Private area. This one is the private area. This one is private area, and out of the web hyphen inf folder, out of this folder, web hyphen inf, this is the public area. Okay. Yeah, this one is the public area. This one is public area. Yeah. By using internal resource views, you can place JSP, HTML, or servlet component inside the web hyphen folder or inside the folder also directly. Okay. Components here. Yeah. Okay. Components are not configured. Component JSP component. Okay. Component are not configured. Having URL pattern. Okay. So now here, observe this guys. In Spring MVC, or Spring Boot MVC, MVC, both applications, we generally, we generally, we generally prefer, we generally prefer taking, what is that? JSP, we generally taking JSP component view, as the view, and it even, and it even, even recommended recommends to keep, those GSP components in private area. We have some advantage about if you kept this inside of the private area. Inside the private area, we have some advantage. What is the advantage? I will tell you, like hiding the code from the outers, and hiding the also technology from the outers, and no one can see your code, no one can see your this technology used. Okay, this is these many advantages are there. So now here, simple, yeah, okay. Now here the public area outside of the web folder, you can say public area, and you can say inside the web folder called the private area. So now next is advantage of, write it. Advantage of footer. Advantage of footer. CSP component in private areas. Private area. Okay. So now some advantages I am giving to you. Okay. Now first advantage is protected. Protects the source. Protects the source code. Protect the source code of the CSP component of the CSP outsiders. Is it that important? Okay. So now next is also. So there guys, what is that? It helps to hide the technology of the web application, because the JSP files name does not appears in the request. So the name, so same thing. So same thing. So same thing does appears address one. This helps to protect us from hackers. Okay. So this is the two very important pointers, guys. Okay. Next is, guys, next point I want to tell you. When you develop Spring Boot MVC, these four things are not required to develop. So, right, point is, after this is completed, na? In Spring, Boot MVC application, the following components comes automatically. So we need not to develop them. We not need to develop. We think first one is dispatches color. Okay, second is IoC container. And third one, not required to develop handler mapping. And fourth one is view. Okay, not required to develop these four things when you develop Spring Boot MVC application. Okay. Now, point is, these many things are not required. One more point is there. When you place the JSP component inside the private area, guys, if you place the private area, then you should configure your file name inside the properties file. So how? This is the important. If 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 your in Spring MVC application, Spring MVC application place JSP components in private area, like web hyphen INF folder, okay, folder like then the internal resource view resolver, need three details. Those to locate those JSP components. Yes. Now first it will given to location of JSP component as the prefix, which one? Prefix info. Like nothing but support, just like that. You give into that. hyphen inf, okay, slash web hyphen inf slash, it would take like that, okay, dot JSP, okay, location this, okay, just okay. Now second is suffix of JSP components, suffix of JSP components like dot JSP extension. Technology suffix means give the technology name, give the technology extension. Okay, suffix. Prefix means first, folder name, file name, or and suffix means just give the extension of the file, technology extension. Okay. Okay. Now the JSP file name as the logical value. These three is required. Okay. When we develop these applications, when I will develop fast application, a Spring Boot application, this point I will explain one more time. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Now here, observe this. Observe. One more thing I'm giving to you. Suppose so this is up to that is good, guys. So now I'm giving some more things. Suppose here I'm writing web hyphen folder, web hyphen inf. Okay, inside the folder is then what is that folder views or the result folder is there. Okay, inside the result, inside the view folder, inside the view folder, this folder. Okay. Now here, just take one file like xyz dot JSP. One file is there, JSP, not JPS, JSP. Okay. Okay. Now, how to internally source resolver to recognize these things? Okay. So now I will give it on query. So here, internal view resolver needs these things. What is the these thing needs? Internal. Just I'm writing shortcut or you understand. Internal or the internal resource view resolver, guys, needs these info I'm writing. Okay. Now which info? Suppose needs which info like slash web, same pattern I will give you. Info inf slash what is the view is the folder view folder simple slash. This one is as the prefix okay. This one the location and LOC means location. And next is give the dot JSP. JSP is as the JSP as the guys as the suffix. What is that technology? What is the technology? This technology used. Okay. Now third one is the XYZ as the logical LBN, logical name. Okay. Logical name. Okay. Logical name means file name. Okay. Logical name, guys. So now here one thing is prepared. Okay. These information needs to view resolver, guys. These information is very, very important. Okay. These information. Suffix is the folder name and web folder name, and suffix is the prefix. Sorry, prefix and suffix is the external technology name. Okay. Now note. So write one note. Write one note, guys. Note is while working with internal source view resolver. We need, this is the important, we need to take the JSP file name as the LVN and we can supply prefix. We can supply prefix file of Spring Boot MVC. Spring Boot MVC. Okay, Spring Boot MVC. Like a fixed file, logical view name and the suffix is not required. Okay, prefix. Logical view name can supply suffix file can supply prefix file, prefix and suffix file of Spring MVC. This one is not suffix. Yeah. Okay. Suffix file details, suffix file details through which one? Through from application dot properties file, application dot properties file of Spring Boot MVC. Okay, so now this is the important. We should pass the suffix and prefix these information through this file. So how inside we pass by using some tags are there. When I will develop, then I will show you. So now after that, it's good. And tomorrow's session or next session, I will show you how to prepare Spring Boot first application. Okay. But two, if you know the mapping, don't worry. If you don't know the mapping, then don't worry. I will conduct one session and upload on the YouTube channel, and you can post happily enjoy it. Okay. So here, do one thing do on it with the Eclipse ID, guys. Do one thing only. What is that thing? Just go in the market. How to writing some point. How to install STS plugin with Eclipse ID. Okay, ID is this. Let's see. Okay, simple. Go in the marketplace here and write. Okay, here is steps. Go to help. Go to no, this one. Go to help section. Help tab. And select Eclipse marketplace. Eclipse marketplace, Eclipse marketplace inside the search bar, just select STS, install STS 3 point something, 3.3, I think so, 3.3. Let's see. Here, come here, just go into the help section, and here the Eclipse marketplace is there in section of the. It's the time. I will give this screen control. And tomorrow session, I will prepare one very good application. Okay. Like this message, simple. STS, just search here STS. Okay, hit enter. Okay, this one is to just click on this installed, and this will be open. Okay, these many things will go on, but I want to cancel it. This back option there. Just cancel it one more time. Go in the help section, marketplace. In system is my system is also not this STS, guys. Okay, I install the STS for you. For time saving, okay. STS. Okay. Just take the this one is required. We'll see. Copy the screenshot here. Paste it. Okay. And here search. Yes. Okay. Now here, come here. I will show you this one. Here it has and marketplace. Then for this one. Okay. Close it. Go here. So just STS. Search here STS. Make and start. This one you can install. Just click on install button. Select all and configure it. Okay. This one extends and more, and it will take time. Okay. So you can do these things. You can do this thing on your system, and tomorrow you will prepare one very good application. This application. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. More videos, please subscribe our channel. Guys. This is not for my channel. This is for your channel. Yeah, I'm preparing video for you. I'm not charging anything. Also, I'm preparing very good thing for you. Like one website I am building for you. I'm just preparing. I'm working on it. When it's prepared, then I will announce to you. Okay. Thank you for watching.